Ma'am has come. We shouldn't waste the time
Yeah,
because others
question.
have joined. Okay, ma'am. Okay, Shankar.
The gateway of technical excellence. A future of great knowledge.
Our vision and mission is to make reception one of the best institutes in the country.
Good morning. Good morning, dear participants. I will start with a famous quote of Leonardo da Vinci. Learning is the only thing the mind never exhausts, never fears, and never regrets. Dear participants, I take the opportunity to introduce today's session speaker, Ms. Urvashi Nag. Urvashi Nag has 7 years of experience in teaching, training, and software development. He has done the BE Honors in Computer Science Engineering from Uttar Pradesh, Technical University, Lucknow, and MTech from Honors in Computer Science and Engineering from Punjab University, Chandigarh. She is currently working as a Senior Research Fellow at CSIR, Central Scientific Instruments Organization, Chandigarh, Ministry of Science and Technology. She is a corporate trainer for the latest IT technologies for various reputed government and private organizations. His expertise includes data science using R and Python, remote sensing, cybersecurity, web application, Python, and many more. He is a guest faculty trainer and technical resource person for Kendra Vidyalaya Sankatam and CBSE Center of Excellence. He has delivered many invited talks in faculty development programs conducted by Atal, NITTR Chandigarh, Director of Education Delhi, DPU Uttar Pradesh, and Central University Kerala. She had also trained thousands of BTech and MTech students on various latest technologies in industry training programs. Previously, she has worked as a senior software engineer at many technologies Mohali. While working as a CICO Chandigarh, he is being involved on a remote sensing project for developing machine learning algorithm for measuring river water quality for Ganga River and developing algorithm for analyzing moistures in tea leaves. She has published many research papers in national and international journals and conferences. She is having many more credits to her. So I'll like to hand over the session to ma'am. I once again thanks all the participants to and I invite all the participants cordially to the program. Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. You can take over the session now.
Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction. And good
Thank you.
morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well in this COVID-19 period. So, today we are going to have a session on. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are going to cover the geographical dataset classification using AND. So before starting my topic, I would like to have a brief introduction what I'm going to cover in this all. We will be taking some geographical data sets, that is the satellite data sets, and we will perform some classification techniques on the crop data or on the waters, on different parts we are going to see what all we can do with the geographical data sets. So before moving, I want to have a short introduction on the interdisciplinary research. What it is that, suppose if we are working on the crop. So for a crop, if I want to check that what it will be the yielding capacity of that particular area, so I need to have the multiple research patterns. Like we have to take the techniques from the computer science also, we have some electronics also, we have some crop agriculture background also. So this is an interdisciplinary research. We have to take the techniques, tools and perspectives from many disciplines. So that's why we are having the session of this. You will have get an idea about the geographical data sets. So for that, I will be starting from the basic. I will be covering from the basic because you are new to this background. So I will be covering from the basic, and then I will be coming to the NV part, that how we can perform that. So the contents are, we are going to cover is what is GIS, what are the types of data used in GIS, what is remote sensing, how we can get the geographical data set from the internet, what is NV, how we are going to work on the NV, types of classifications, and we will do some practical classifications on the geographical data sets. So what is GIS? GIS is Geographical Information System that recognize imagery is essential for understanding what is happening in the world. If we want to understand something about the world, using the imagery, the photographs, then the GIS come into the part. So we have different data formats, spatial data formats. We are talking about the remote sensing, we got the geographical data sets. That's why we are using the spatial data. So there are two data sets. One is the raster data formats and the vector data formats. I'm starting from the basics. So when I go to the upper and upper of the sessions, so you will be knowing everything of that. So what is raster data sets? When we are talking about the raster file, so we are talking about the cells. The image is being represented by a cell. Each cell is assigned a position in the data file. But if we want, okay, let me read it. Raster files are often used for digital representation of aerial photographs, where we use the raster formats and where we use the vector format. It is used in the aerial photographs, satellite images. When we have to keep the cost down, then we use the raster file. When the map does not require that individual map features should be there, then we use the raster file. Or if we want to have a layout of any of the particular location, then the raster file format is being used. So what is the resolution? Anybody can tell me what is the resolution? Okay, for the chart, I have to go again on this. If suppose I'm showing you a grid of 20. Okay, I have to write in here. 20 cross 16. So what will be the resolution of this? So if we are talking about the resolution, so we are talking about the pixels. If it is 20 cross 16, the grid size is 20 cross 16, then the pixel values will be 320 pixels. And if the grid size is 40 into 36, we will be having this. So a question for everyone, which will be having the higher resolution? 320 pixel or 1440 pixels? In the chat box, I want to hear you in the chat box, please. Okay, Deepika ji has answered me the pixel answers. Okay, which will be the better one? Which will be having the better resolution? Again, I'm showing you the slide. The first one or the second one? 320 pixels or 1440? In which the information should be more? In which you can get the information more? The first one or the second one? Okay, Deepika ji, very good. Nice one. The second one. So we will be having the more clear-cut information. We will be getting more information using 1440 pixel. The finer resolution, the more accuracy and better quality images there. Next come the vector data format. So in the raster we are talking about the points, and in the vector we will be talking about the lines. When we are connecting any points with the line, then it is called the vector data formats. Let's see where the vector files are being used. Suppose if I have a satellite image, and if we want to find out some stores or streets or the land uses, it is being used by the buildings or it's their agriculture lands or any of these. So we use the vector files when we want to have the precise information of the image. When the file size are important, every single pixels are important, then we go for the vector files. So a difference, everyone till now will be familiar with the vector formats and the raster formats. When we are talking about the dots, then it's raster formats, and when we are talking about a line, then it will be a vector formats. So it was the basic data formats that is used in the remote sensing. So now Gandhi, what is remote sensing? Anybody from the audience have an idea, can share their views on the remote sensing? I don't want to have a single I am delivering the lecture. I want an interactive session. You can write in the chat box. Anybody can share their views on the remote sensing part? Okay, Deepika ji, good. Anybody else? I would like to hear you, everyone.
Excuse me, ma'am. 1 minute. So, ma'am, the participant is there. Ma'am asked you to put any question. You can unmute your audio and answer it. Because if you put it in the chat box, it will be very problem for ma'am to go with it. So you can unmute your thing and answer it. Okay, no problem.
Okay. You can unmute and answer also. Okay, Deepika ji, you want to share your views? I think everyone having the facilities of unmuting yourself also. Okay, Deepika ji has shared me that these are the sensor data. Okay, I will more elaborate what Deepika ji wanted to say. What is remote sensing? Remote sensing is a method of obtaining information about the properties of an object without coming into the physical contact with it. I have written the first definition of that. What it actually means. Here we are getting the crop information. We are getting that in a particular 1 acre of land, how much yield is going to be there without coming into the physical contact of that. Okay. So we can collect the information using the satellite also. Hope you have listened about the word precision farming. In the precision farming, we take the data through the remote sensing, through the drone also. So here we are more about the, we don't have the drone data. So it's a practical implementation. So we are talking about the remote sensing, the satellite data, by which we can get the satellite data easily. Okay. So how we can get the satellite data, that is the second part we will be seeing. So what we can do with the satellite data. So we can obtain the information without coming into the physical contact. Let me read the second by Dr. Nicholas Short. He said that remote sensing is a technology for sampling electromagnetic radiation. Basically, the word used here, electromagnetic radiation, is very more important. Everything we based on remote sensing we perform in the real world life, it's based on the electromagnetic radiation. Basically what it does, it radiates the energy and we acquire it, and we extract the information based on the features and objects we get from the image. Let me move further. So what we in the remote sensing system does, it captures the radiation. The radiation can be form of the reflected or emitted. It can be reflected data or it can be emitted data. We record it and we generate the images, and from that image we generate the information. Here, I will be practically making you see that how we can extract the information from the remote sense data. What are the radiations? What are the emittance in that? So the advantages of remote sensing, it provides a large view. when we want to spend less cost, if we want to have a less cost and we have to work on a large area, then we go on for the remote sensing. And if I want to look that, suppose this is a field, I'm having a field of this. In the previous years, I have a yield of 1 ton or some so, and on the same image in the this year, I want to resemble that how much ton of the yield will be produced in this year. So I can have a look of the previous image also, and from the previous image also we can get some information. So we can have a repetitive looks of that same area. We can see a broader section of the spectrum than the human eye. The human eye cannot say the UV risk or NIR region. So, but remote sensing, through remote sensing, we can see every spectrum properly. We can get the geo-reference data also. And remote sensing operates in all seasons or in night or in a bad weather. So it's a very good things if we can apply in some of the real world data. So how it is performed, a basic example that will make you a wider view of this. This is the sunlight. Sunlight is basically the emulation of the energy source from which the it's going to be the energy is going to be absorbed or being reflected. So the sun what will be doing? It will be radiating the heat. Radiations can be reflected by the atmosphere also, and it can be absorbed by the interaction of the object, or it can be reflected back from the object. When it is getting reflected back from the object, these sensors are being capturing it. The energy are being captured by the sensors. Then it's being transmission, reception, and process. After the process of the data, the interpretation takes place. We, as a researcher, studied the data and use in the application. So this is the whole things, the whole elements being involved in a remote sensing. The sun as an energy source with radiate the light. Some of the energy can be radiated or absorbed by the atmospheric contents, that can be water drops, some pollutions, or any of the things. Then after the objects, the season of the object, the interaction with the object will be take place. It will be reflected back, or it will be absorbed. Then our sensors are nothing, our satellite. In our satellite, there are different sensors installed. So the sensors will record the data and send to the transmission station. And we, as a researcher, we get the data from the transmission station, and we can process it, interpret it, use it as a knowledge, and can create any of the application. So this is the slide which I'm going to share it. You can have a look afterwards also. So there are two types of sensors, passive sensors and the active sensors. The very good example I'm going to show you. You can see it. We have the sun. If we are taking the energy from the sun, the emulation source is the sun, then it will be a passive energy or is a passive sensors. When a satellite or we have the Everest NG flight also. What is Everest NG? That having the take the data from very much distance. It's about 30 meters. But a satellite data is far away. So higher resolution can be created with the Everest NG. So the active sensors will be having their own sun's illumination energy. The example of active sensors are LIDAR and DIDAR, and passive sensors are Landsat, ESTER, QuickBar, and ECROS. We will be seeing the Landsat data. I am working on the Landsat data. The satellite images. So satellite data is used for many applications that everybody is knowing. We can have the monitoring of global weather. We can study the climate change. We can observe the environment also. So why we use satellites to study the Earth? because it is consistent. We can get the data by daily wise or weekly wise, so we can study it accurately. We can have the ground based measurement of that also. Okay, we can have the advanced warming also, and the visual appearance is very much good. So anybody from the group audience can tell me the advantages and disadvantages of the satellite images. You can unmute yourself. Anybody can share me the advantages and disadvantages of the remote sensing. I will be happy to see you if you are going to answer, and hats off to everyone that's participating in this. And first, I'm going to talk about the advantages of satellite images. Anybody? What can be the advantages of satellite image? Deepika ji? Soumya ji, Sneha ji, anyone? Okay, Deepika ji is going to answer.
Actually, we don't need to go and take the pictures. By remote only we can take the picture and interpret the images or the area. We can predict something from remote area. Actually, I am sitting here, but I can see the London right now, and I can predict where is the vegetation, where is the land. I can predict by remotely sensed data.
Perfect answer.
And
Perfect answer.
And disadvantage is that it is very complicated data, so we need to predict it, and we need some good algorithms, and it takes time for that. And satellite data is not real. It is rarely available for the participant or for the researcher. It is very difficult to collect, and difficult to, when it is cloudy area, then it is very difficult to predict. So data is the most problem, maybe, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Perfect answer from your side. Hats off to Deepika ji. And Dr. Mathi sir has also answered. Key tracking pollution and climate change. Yes, it's one of the application, we can say that. We can track the pollution and the climate change. But Deepika ji, you was good from your side. She has told us that we can sense the data sitting from here, and we can see the data of any place. She has taken the example of London. We can take the example of any city or any country. And one is the reliability of data. If I'm collecting, if I'm working on the disadvantages, I'm telling you what Deepika ji has told, I'm adding onto that part only. If I'm taking a data of Kerala only, if I'm taking a data set of Kerala, and I am predicting, I will use a word spectral library. Okay, what is the spectral library? I will telling you, but I'm using the word spectral library. If I am saying that this spectral library determines that the leaves are broad, and this spectral library say that the leaves are short, or it is a sick leaf, or there is a fungus on the leaves. This spectral libraries are different. We can have it. For that, we should have the ground truth measurement also. So one is that for the remote sensing data, if we want to validate our data, we should have some ground truthing. Okay, so continuing with that, good Deepika ji and Dr. Mathi sir, we will having the advantages and disadvantages. Firstly, we have the large areas, and this point was also told by Deepika ji, is cost effective. We are sitting here and we are accessing the data of anywhere, so it is cost effective. Time efficient. We can have multi-temporal, multi-sensors, multi-spectral data. Okay, faster extraction. But what is the disadvantages? As I have told, ground verification. How I can tell this at this place the water is turbid. Suppose I have worked on a water project in CSIO. In that water project, what I have done, I have went on a Prayagraj, that is Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh, and we have taken the water sample of that river, and by ground truthing and by remote sensing, we have told that the water is turbid, or it has chlorophyll, or it is having the total suspended solids, it's high or less, different parameters we have measured. So for that, when we worked on the remote sensing, we went there practically and have the ground verifications. So that is the foremost disadvantages of the remote sensing, that we have the ground verification. But if we have taken the ground truthing, then it's the spectral libraries have been created and it will work for the multiple satellite images in the future. So it's a one-time job. We have to create the spectral libraries. Now moving on further. Applications. Dr. Marathi sir had just told us it is used in the weather forecasting, the climate control. Other than this we will have in the urbanization and transportation. We have in the agriculture, we are studying that crop health analysis, precision agriculture, compliance mapping, yield estimation, and forest application. These are the different applications area of agriculture for which we can use the remote sensing. We can analyze the crop health, it is good, what it will be the yielding estimation of that. We can use the precision farming in that. We can have the how much forest area is there. We can see that. And we can use that in the urbanization, how much area is being updating the road maps. Okay, we can all see in the application of remote sensing. This is being covered by Dr. Marathi sir, what are the natural resource management in that. We can have the national security also, targeting, disaster mapping, weapons monitoring. We can have this. Suppose, taking an example, this is a forest area. 1 minute, I'll connect my battery. Okay, this is being connected. Suppose this is a forest area I'm having. Okay, and a weapon is being there. How I can find with the remote sense data that there is a weapon in a forest? Because the weapon will be having different spectral signature. This word spectral signature is very most important in remote sensing, because every spectral signatures of every object is different. So we can sense that there is different spectral signature coming from that area. So some thing is being hiding in that. So the weapons, if we are having the spectral signature of weapon, we can easily get that this is a weapon area. So meteorological applications, terrestrial bodies. Now complete, these were the applications. Till here we will be having the terrestrial applications of remote sensing. Now moving on to the types of satellites. So what are the two types of satellites? One is geospatially, another one is polar orbiting satellites. So in the geospatially satellites, the Earth is we called as Earth orbiting satellite also. It is placed approximately at 35,800 kilometers, and it revolves in the same direction the Earth revolves. That's why its name is geostationary. It revolves in the same direction of the Earth. Suppose Earth is like this and it is revolving around by the Earth. In the polar orbit, in which the satellite passes above or nearly above the poles. You can see it is passing on the poles. So that's why it is called the polar orbiting. How do satellites make measurements? Satellites do not make direct measurements of the Earth geophysical parameters. Instead, that's one, radians. It measured everything in the radians. That we call our DN numbers also. It's a level 1 data. Okay, in the terms of the researcher, we talk about the level 1 data. It's called a DN number also. And radians can be converted into reflectance or any geophysical parameters using sign-based algorithm. So the challenges we have seen, there is no direct measurement of converting radians. There are different softwares we have to use. Satellites are very expensive to build and launch. First, to launch the satellite is take a heavy amount of cost. Next is who uses remote sensing data? First of all, as a researcher, we are using foremost remote sensing technology in every area. We are working in the soil, we are working in the crop, we are working in the tea, we are all in every area we are using the remote sensing. Whether than the researcher who are using, the geographer, the forester, the environmentalist, geologist, the farmers, different peoples are using it. The farmers who want to keep an eye on how his crops grows, and they have been affected by drought, floods, disease, or pests, they can have an eye using the use of remote sensing, the satellite. So the principle behind RS that I was talking about, electromagnetic. I was telling them the electromagnetic energy, that is very important, because when sun gives any light, it is being reflected or transmitted or absorbed by any object. I'm taking an example of that. You can see this can be used in the soil of different types, water, different types of impurities, vegetations, and different. This principle can be used in different areas. Suppose this is a plant. This is a tree, you can see. Having the sun, it is giving their energy. Some it means transmit, some it means reflected, and some it means absorbed by the leaves. On the basis of how much the light is being absorbed, being reflected, or being emitted, we can come to the conclusion. What can be the conclusion? We are going to see. So electromagnetic radiation is like the radio waves, infrared waves make characteristics patterns. Everyone know that. And what are the wavelength and all? The difference between peaks is called the wavelength. So we have the visible spectrum region. What is the visible region? Anybody? Can unmute yourself or can write in the chat box. Which algorithm used for classified it? Okay, Dr. Marathi sir. We will be using different classification technique. We will be coming in the upcoming lecture. I will be telling you. So the visible range of the spectrum is, anybody? I will be good if I hear your answer from new ones. The visible range, the visible spectrum range is, okay, I'm going to tell you all. You can see it is from 0.4 to 0.7 nanometer, or we can have it 400 to 700 nanometers. Okay, this is the visible range in which our eyes can see properly. So this is the spectrum. This is the visible region, 400 to 700 nanometer. Before that, there is UV range, that is ultraviolet X-rays and gamma rays. Here we have the NRI region, that is near infrared region. Then we have infrared radio waves. Okay. And for the vegetation, when we are talking about the vegetation, we come in the visible region. We study the visible region because we get the spectrum in the region of the visible. I'm giving you an example. It's totally an example. If I want to sense that from the satellite image, it's a healthy leaf, it's a sick leaf, or it's a dead leaf. If I want to classify it, because based on these leaves only we can get it that our crop yielding will be how much. Okay. So if I can find the blue and the red reflection in the same panel, same values will be there, and the green will be like this, and the NIR region will be like this. We can say that this is a healthy leaf. But if we are having this blue and red in the same region, and the green and NIR regions is almost the same, then we can say that it is a sick leaf. But if all the four parameters are in the same line, we can say it is a dead leaf. So this is the way we can study the spectrum, different spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum, and we can see that's a healthy leaf, sick leaf, or a dead leaf. So this is a spectral resolution. You can read it afterwards. Different satellite image, we have different formats. We have panochromatic, multispectral data, hyperspectral data. Panochromatic only have the black and white. the televisions you are having in the 90s, there was in the black and white, that is the panchromatic. It uses a single band images. In the multispectral, we have a few image band. Maybe 8 band, we have a 7 band or a 16 band, not more than that. But in hyperspectral, we are having a broad range. We are having the hundreds of spectral bands. So we can classify the image more accurately in the hyperspectral data. So you can see in the multispectral, the bands are 1, 2, till 8 we can have. In the hyperspectral, we have hundreds of bands. From 250 to or 350 to 2500 nanometer, we have the data from the satellite. But in the multispectral that we are going to do, it's Landsat data. We have band 1 to band 8. So then these are the different bands. If he uses different band colors, it's band 1 resemble blue, band 2 green, band 3 red. And if we use the composition of these colors, we will be getting different areas. So from where we can get the satellite data, these are the different sites from where you can get the satellite data. For you, I'm showing you one of this at the time constraint. So we can see this. I'm copying this. This is the earthexplorer.usgs.gov site. You can get the satellite images of the area which we want to. Suppose we want the area of India. I'm going to minimize it. Okay, now moving it to here. Okay, suppose I have practically went to Allahabad, so I'm taking the Allahabad data only. Okay, I want this data. I will use from here use map. We can go more deeper if we want to. Okay. I will use the use map. In the use map, I will get the coordinates of all the areas which are being we can see on the screen. Then from which state to which state we want a satellite data. Okay, from which state to which state we want the satellite data, will we simply pass the dates. Then we click on the data sets. When we click on the data sets, different satellite data will be there. Okay, EO1, ICMR. We will be working on the Landsat, so I'm clicking on the Landsat data. Okay, we will having the Landsat 7 lesson 4, but I'm going to take the Landsat 8. You can click on this and go for the results. It will take fraction of seconds time, and then it will be showing you the Landsat data, and you can simply download that data. What are in that data set, you can see it. Simply you can click on the data set. You can have the natural color image, the thermal image, the quality image, and you can have the metadata also. What all the data is, when it was captured, what was the resolution, when was the flight of the satellite. You can everything, you can get it easily by only downloading it. If it does not download, if it says to sign in, you can simply sign in. It is very easy format. You can simply give your institute name, your ID, and it will get signed in. So as this, I have shown one of this. We have the many of this. You can work on any of this. So now the NV software. What is the NV software? NV is the software for processing and analyzing geospatial imaging. If you want to work on the satellite data, that is geospatial data, we work on the NV software. We analyze and visualize the spectral and hyperspectral data. How we do? Let's move on with that. So these all operations can be performed using the NV. We can classify the image using supervised and unsupervised methods. We can create region of interest. We can do the atmospheric corrections. We can identify the features interest. Different. We can have the forest health with vegetation analysis. Different tools are being available in NV. So example of NV where we can use is a change detection. What is that? You can see it's a before image. Okay, it's an image. Yes.
Your presentation has been stopped. You're not able to mute the presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Presentation has been stopped, ma'am.
Achha, presentation has been stopped.
Yeah, it is not coming. We are only seeing.
My screen is being visible to everyone.
No, ma'am. The screen is not visible.
The screen is not visible. Okay. It is being seen that I am sharing my screen. See, my screen is visible now. Ma'am, my screen not visible.
Not visible. Yeah.
Let me stop the presentation. How resume my presentation? Your screen is still visible to others. Let me stop sharing and then I'm going to share it again. Now it's being visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we were talking about the NV. These are operations we can perform using NV. So I was telling that one of the applications of NV, that is, we can have a change detection. This is a before image. So, and this is an after image. So if I want, suppose this is in the 2000 and this is 2020. If I want to see that, what are the different changes being in the from the 2000 to 2020, so we can have the difference of this image and we can get it. You can see the red of this areas. These areas represent the growth which have been taken from the 2000 to 2020. How much urbanization is being done on the farmers' agricultural land, you can see here with the red portion. So we can find the difference also of the both images. So you can download the data for your practice purpose from this link, which I'm going to share. Let me share it in the chat box. And you can get it from here. This is the NV data from which on which we are going to have some practical portion. I will be telling which is fine you download it. You can download it from here. Another thing is installation of NV. So I will be sharing my drive link. Let me copy it and paste it there also. Wait a second. I think this is my drive link. So I will be sharing this drive link to you all, and from here you can get the NV software. Okay, it is the licensed version is available here. You can use it freely. We can have the data set from here also. I'm sharing you the data set for your practice purpose. Okay, I will be sharing the link with you all. If we are able to get all the changes as images, sometimes why if plain missing is unable to find. Sridevi, Damodaranji, I didn't got your question. Can you explain me more elaborated? So I will be, you can get the NV software here from here. It will take time for installation. So after the lecture, you can install it. It will take time. For the installation part, I will be telling you, you have to do two things. Let me show my NV folder. When you will complete the NV, you will be getting this executable file, executed. Simply next, you have to do. After that, it will be asking for the license. So what you will be do, you will be pasting this NV license file in the license folder. In the license folder, you will be pasting this license file. And in the idle 84, there is a bin. And in the bin, there is x86 and x86-64. There you will be pasting the file, which will be in that folder only. Bin x86, you have to paste this file. And bin x86-64, you have to paste this file. So 3 copy paste you have to do basic on the names. Okay, by simply pasting it, and you will restart your NV, it will completely start. So moving on to the further, you can install it afterwards. So back to my slide. I was under this. Okay, you can install it afterwards. You can download the data. The basic NV function is we will read the data, prepare it, explore it, analyze it, and then we can share to anyone. So these are the different functions. You can read it afterwards. So I will be moving on to the practical version of this. There is, when you type on the NV, you will be getting this much NV 64-bit after installation. NV idle 64-bit, 32-bit. So we will be working on the classic or 64-bit. Both is perfect. This is for the LiDAR data, radar data. That is that are having their active sources. Okay. What were the active and passive sources? Anybody remind me? What were the active satellites and the passive? We have just studied. Still not about it. Even having advanced systems, why this happens? Okay. Now I get. Okay, I will be sharing this, Deepika ji, to the ma'am. She will be sharing in the WhatsApp group. So the active and the passive was, active will be having the source of illumination on the satellite or on the Abras NG flights, and the passive will be taking the source of the sun. So when we click on the NV 32-bit, you will be seeing the console like this. Let me close it and open it for you again. NV 32-bit. Okay. When we click on the NV32, this will be open. NV Classic. Now I'm going to open the image file. You can download the image file from the link which I have been shared to you. Okay, I will load the RGB bands so we can get a colorful image. I will be loading the band 1, band 3, and the band 4. You can see the image. This is a satellite image. Okay, hope it's being clear. So this is the window. It's look like this. When we click on the open image file, we get the image. Now we have 3 windows. Image window, scroll window, and the zoom window. As everyone can see, image window, scroll window, and the zoom window. If I click on here, the zoom areas will be here. We can scroll it anywhere from here also. Okay, these are the 3 windows. Next, moving on to the application, we have the different spectra. If I want to study that, what is the spectra here? I will be clicking on the right link on the Z profile. We can get the spectra here. If I want the spectra of here, if I want to spectra of here, we can click and get the spectral of different profiles. We can have the contrast stretching. If we want to improve the image quality, we can go to the enhance interactive stretching. We can have the stretch type piecewise linear, or we can have the equalization, we can have the Gaussian, and we can apply it. I'm applying the Gaussian. You can see some improvement is there. If I apply the piecewise linear, if I apply, then different transformation is there. This is basically we are enhancing our image quality, so we can study more and more about the image. So we can plot these scatter plots also between different bands. We will be seeing that also, how we can plot the scatter plots. You can enhance or filter the image like this also. Enhancing like using here, you can also enhance it. If I want to have the scatter plot, this is the end tools. We have the 2D scatter plots, and we can plot the scatter plots between different bands and study that how much the band, these two bands are dependent on each other. What we are getting, the linearity or what we are getting. Okay, so that there are different tools and different tabs available on your research or different research we use. We get the region of interest. Let me see, show you how we can create a region of interest. There is an ROI tool. If I want that, yeah, if I make this area, this area is like, if I want to create it the mountain, I will name it mountain. Okay. If in the next, let me name it mountain. In the next region, if I want this is as a glacier, simply I'm marking it. This region is as a glacier. Next, similarly, we can create different regions. We can are assigning in different region of interest. Then we can perform the classification also. How we will be performing, we will be seeing. These are the simple tools I am showing you. You are so that you are familiar with this NV. We have the image.
Someone has started presenting now. 1 minute now. Mahesh sir, please stop presenting your screen, sir. Mahesh sir.
Mahesh sir, your screen is being presented on my screen.
Your screen is being presented, so we will not be able to view you, sir. Ma'am screen. Am I audible? Hello, Mahesh sir. Shankar. Mahesh sir, stop presenting your screen.
Okay, ma'am. I override that. Okay. So we can have the image annotation also. If I want to name anything of my image, suppose this is if this is a water area, if I want to represent it, we can annotate it also. We can write the water here. We can change the background, any color, and we can annotate here. For the purpose of the research paper, we can annotate it. There are different facilities available in NV. We can save the images also. There are different formats of file formats. We can say this is band sequential, band interleaved by pixels, and band interleaved by lines. We will not go into much deeper in this because we have less time. So we will have a quick overview of that. In BIL, if we are talking about BIL, we will have band 1 information in the column 1, then band 2, then band 3. But in the BIP, that is band interleaved by pixel data, we will have band 2, band 3, band 1, band 2, band 3, then again by pixel wise, in the row wise it is being stored. Then at band sequential format, store information, then whole band information will be stored first, then the second, then the third. We have the example of this. If we have the data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this, and if you want to store it in the form of bill, so how we will be storing? First this, second this, third this. See, then repetitively of this. If we are talking about the BIP, we will be storing the column wise data. If we are talking about the BSQ, we will be storing the first satellite image data, then second, then third. These are the different formats of the image. Then come the image classification. Now we are going to perform the classification. So basically, why we perform the classification? To detect some change. If you want to quantify the land cover types, then we use this. If you want to classify the area as forest, water, or urban area, agriculture. And in agriculture, if we want to distinguish different areas, different location, then we have the image classification. So we have the three image, basically we have seen that is panochromatic, multispectral, and hyperspectral. We have the three data sets. So everyone knows, I'm not going deeper in the classification. You can study it laterwards. This we have seen. These are the different sensing systems, satellite, Everest NGO, or the lower we can have it. Then we have the sensing products, interpretation, and the information we are the end user uses it. So if you want to, there is an land use change of Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Sumatra. It was that what was in 1982 and what was in 2007. Different. This was the forest on peat remaining, and now what is there? There is plantation, there is cleared land or palm plantation. Different plantations are there. So it has been shared with you. Using NV, it has been done. Vegetation difference can be there. What is the tree cover of the broadleaf, middle leaf, or evergreen forest, shrub areas? Different we can have it. So firstly, before acquiring any image, we pre-process the image. We remove the noise, because we have seen when the sunlight emanates its energy and from the object and till the sensors. The sensor is capturing the data. There is huge patches of area in which there are water droplets, air pollutions, or different pollutants available. So the light has been scattered, or we can have some atmosphere discorrection also. So to correct the atmospheric corrections, we perform atmospheric corrections. We enhance the image using image enhancement tool. Different things we do with the image for the pre-processing. So basically we do geometrical correction and the radiometric correction, or atmospheric corrections we also do. So how we do, let me see, make you have a book. You have seen NV32. Now I am moving on to the more easiest way, more interaction GUI based is NV64-bit. You will type NV, you will get the 64-bit also. This is the 64-bit. I have opened an image for you all. This is the data sets which I have worked practically on. I will be showing what is the data set. This is a satellite image of Landsat 8. You can see this is a satellite image of Landsat 8. Hope everyone have listened the name of Prayagraj, that was Allahabad. Anybody have listened the name of Prayagraj? That is, before it was called Allahabad. It is in Uttar Pradesh. Anybody have heard the name? So it is very popular that it is the region. Basically, it's called the sacred place, because here the three rivers meet. That is Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. These three images meet at this point. That is called the Sangam. That is called, the name is called the Sangam. So here we have taken the ground truth data. So I will show you where I have taken, what was the data sets. I will be having a practical approach of this. So if I want to correct the image, before I correct the image, I will find out my region of interest. This is the huge satellite image, huge area is being covered, but I practically have studied this area. I practically have studied this area, so I will be working on this only. Why should I go for the whole satellite images? You can accept this rectangle. Okay, ROI, I will save this ROI. This is my region of interest. Region of interest. I saved it. So now I will be creating my subset from this. Subset data from ROI. This is my Landsat data. Okay. This is my ROI. And I will be storing it in the memory also. Yeah, I can store in the file also. Let me name as at the subset. Subset. Oh, already the subset name is there. Subset 1, we can do it. Okay. If I delete this now, so you can see the subset of my data. Okay, this is the subset, which the data sets which I am going to study is this. You can see this river which was there. This is the Ganga river. This is the Yamuna river. And after meeting from this Sangam point, the rivers are being flown. But when I open that image, you can see, you are not able to see that what was the image actually. Let me open this also. Load image. Okay. If I show you this image, you are not able to see that which satellite image is this. Because I have practically went there. So I am knowing that this river which you are seeing, that is a Ganga river. This is the Yamuna river. And here is a meeting point called Sangam. And then the river, the Saraswati is coming from here. And these three rivers are being joined and flowing in this direction. So I have cut shorted. I'm removing this. This is my subset. So if I want to perform atmospheric correction in this, so there is first I will be doing the radiometric correction. Radiometric calibration. If you type here in the toolbox, radiometric calibration, it is there. So on the subset I have to perform, yes. You have seen now we are talking about the radiance and reflectance. The image is in the form of radiance. We have talked about the BSQ, BIL and BEF format. So I am taking the BEF format. And the output name where I want to store it is like the radiometric pre-processed data, we can say that. Okay, now you can see the radiometric calibration is being performed. So what it will be doing, it will be removing the noise from the image, removing all not atmospheric effects like illumination, variations and all, and more enhanced image will be there. I'm audible now. The screen is also being shared properly. Hopefully. Next, after this, when the radiometric calibration is performed, you can see this is the pre-processed data, and this is the you will not able to enhance. Let me remove this. Firstly, let me remove this. This is the pre-processed data. See, more enhancement has been done. You can see the rivers more clearly. The illumination effect has been removed. But if I open this subset, see the difference between this. This was the, let me load the true color of this. See, the original image was this. So after performing the radiometric calibration, the data enhancement is there. You can see everyone. The image is more enhanced. And next, if I perform the flash atmospheric correction, Okay, I will be passing my input file, output file, and the location of this. When I perform this, it will take 15-20 minutes. So I'm not doing it. If I apply this file, you can see the more enhanced images there. So more information can be gained from the enhanced image. So you can get more enhanced image. So moving on, if on this image I want to do the classification, we can do it perfectly. So there are two classification techniques. So I want to hear it from the participants only. Unsupervised and supervised learning. Come on fast. There are two classification techniques. Everyone knows that. In fact, there are three. One is the reinforcement also. But we are going to talk about the two only, unsupervised and supervised. So what is unsupervised and supervised? Anybody from the participant? I will be happy that if you are going to share your views. If the views are being shared by the good and the good teachers, the knowledge will be enhanced.
अनसुपरवाइज
Yes, sir.
हाँ सुपरवाइज मतलब जहाँ लेवल डेटा हमारे पास अवेलेबल है दैट इज सुपरवाइज
Yes, perfect.
सुपरवाइज का लेवल डेटा नहीं होता है मतलब हम बोल सकते हैं सुपरवाइज और अनसुपरवाइज में बेसिकली जैसे आपके पास कोई डेटा ट्रेनिंग डेटा अवेलेबल है उसका आउटपुट भी आपके पास अवेलेबल है.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Amit. Thank you. Perfect answer. Vijayalakshmi ji has also given the same answer, labeled and non-labeled data. Anybody else who want to enhance the definition or want to add on something? Anybody from the participant? Okay. Good, Amit ji. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, as everyone has told, Amit ji and one more people from the group, that is Vijayalakshmi ji, has already told us that it is enabled and unenabled data. What is, if you are learning it first time? So I will give you a basic example of that. Suppose I want to clear some examination. Okay, I am preparing for an exam without the help of a teacher. I'm not having any training persons. So that is called the unenabled. Unlabeled and labeled, that was talking about, Amit ji was talking about. So unsupervised, I'm not having any guidance and I'm preparing for my exam and clearing it. So that is the example of unsupervised. But the same way, if I have a teacher who teach me and train me, give the inputs before the examination, well labeled, this is called the labeled data, then it is called the supervised classification. We will see the example of this. Okay? Okay, let me move on to the NV only. This is the supervised and unsupervised. You can read it from the slide. I will be sharing this to all. Okay. The example of supervised method is that giving you example in the terms of NV. In the unsupervised learning, what we have, I know that this is the vegetation. This is the urban area. This is the water area. This is the sand area. This is the bare fields. I know everything and I have given as an input to the machine. Yeah, I know these all things. These things are there. Now you perform the classification. So on the basic which I have given the input, the machine will match the vegetation and give the output like this. The vegetation can be seen in green. The urban can be seen in green color. The water can be blue. Sand yellow. This classification has been done by the computer. I have given only 5 points. Okay, but the classification on the basis of the input is being done by the machine, that is called the supervised classification. In the same way, I does not provide any input to the computer. I give the image. I say that on the basis of the image, perform the classification. Simply, this is called the unsupervised classification. I'm not training the machine anything. If it performs something, that is called the unsupervised classification, and it will show us if this red region is there, the yellow region is there, the blue region is there. So we have to classify it on the basis of this. It will break into the clusters. We will be seeing that what is cluster is there. This is the example of K-means cluster. We will be performing that. There are different supervised classification methods include in NV, that is parapline and Mandelin distance, maximum likelihood, minimum, SAM. The most widely used classification is SAM. spectral angle mapper. And in the unsupervised, there is k-means and isodata. How the k-means and isodata, we are going to practically perform that. So this you can read it afterwards. Okay. I'm not going into the deep as the time is less. We have 15 minutes. We have to perform the practical also. So, okay. I can give a simple example. Clustering, we will be going to performing the k-means clustering. So what are the clusters? When we make clusters of the same group, when the same group are in the clusters, then we call it as the clustering. Like an example, if we go to the shopping mall, if you want to buy an apple, we can have this apple in a one row and different clusters of apples will be there. Different green apples, red apples, different sort of apples. Okay, the mountains, regions, different apples are there. So we can get it from that cluster. The items are arranged in the mall. That is a lots example of clusters. And where this k-means cluster is being used actually is Amazon, Netflix, and Flickr. And the satellite images is used by NASA and everyone, those who are working in the geospatial. So I'm going to work on that. Okay, this example we can study it. We have this area. If I want to establish some school here in this location, so in which location should I open the school? If as I am an engineer, if I want to open the school in this area, on which school, area should I open the school? It will based on the clusters. Okay, I will open this schools in the 3 points so that it can be accessibility for everyone and reachability by everyone. So this is the example of k-means. I'm not going to be inside of this. We will be performing in the ND unit. Okay. Let's move on to the ND. We will go to the classification. Okay, I will be working on the pre-processed data next. If you want to use the training data, if you want to not use the training, suppose I have to use the training data. Okay, now I will define the region of this. What region I want to have it. Suppose in the region 1, I will be naming as the region 1 like Ganga. Then I will be defining this color with the blue. Okay. Let me give the spectral signature of this. Okay. Accept. These are the different points I am assigning. Might be I am assigning like this. I have to zoom it more. They can be land cover also. Just I am assigning like this only for the practical exposure of this. We can take it like the rectangle. So it will be easy for me to. Different points I am taking. Okay, different points. Now I am going to create new class. Suppose class 2 is the vegetation. I'm taking a green color for this. I'm assigning the vegetation part. Okay, it can be an urbanization also because I'm not taking the ground truth, so I'm not being able to clarify that. And next I'm going to clear Yamuna with different blue color or a purple color I am taking. Okay, next I'm going having the urban areas. Last one, this will be the last one. Urban areas in red color we can have. Or this can be urban areas most likely. Okay. We can save this classification also, which we have done. Then we can, okay, let me move on to the back. You can, I will show you the algorithm being used. It's default, it has been selected maximum likelihood classification. That why it has run the maximum classifier. Let me change the algorithm. If I want it as a spectral angle apple, because I'm using the training set, so it will be showing me the classification, the supervised classification, that are single spectral angle mapper, Menjoff's distance, minimum distance, maximum likelihood. So I'm using the SAM. Then I am performing the next. See, you can see running spectral angle mapper classification. We can smooth the images also. Clean up, you can increase the distorting mode. If I perform this, let me finish this. When I finish that, you can get a classified image we get. Take a different classification on base of the technique. When we have this river is not being showing visibly because we haven't given the inputs correctly. Okay, that's why you can see the different unclassified areas also there, Ganga, vegetation, and Yamuna and urban, which we have make the classes. But if what, I'm deleting this all. If I want to perform the k-means clustering, that is unsupervised. This input I have given now without input. Let me delete this all, remove it, this all from here. Now, if I want to do this classification of the image using no training data set, no training data. Okay, so it is asking that how much iteration you have to do and how much the number of classes you want to. I want the 5 classes. Let it. Simply performing the unsupervised classification. It's an isodata parameter. I will be telling you what is the difference between the k-means and isodata. It is performing the unsupervised classification by its own. I'm not giving any input to the machine. This spectral libraries of vegetation, the spectral libraries of the crop. I'm not giving any of this. It has been classified the image on itself by training it. Training the machine by its own. Let me finish. Okay, the file name is already there. Let me add one to this. So you can see this is the pre-processed data. It has processed the data by itself. Where there is a water, it has been shown with the red color. Whereas there is a vegetation, it has been shown with the green color. If we increase the number of classes, then more enhanced image we can get because the number of classes will be arranged, increased, sorry. So what is the difference between the ISO data and the k-means? I will be showing you. In ISO data is similar to the k-means algorithm with the distinct difference that the ISO data algorithms allow for different number of clusters. We can have number of clusters differently. But in the k-means, we have to define how many clusters should be there. If I'm assigning the 5 clusters should be there, that is the k-means. But if I'm not assigning any number of clusters and it assumes itself, then it is an ISO data algorithm in k-means. You can read it, you can have it from here also, and you can do it from NV32 also. I'm showing you the NV32. There is a classification supervised There are different number of classification, SVM, neural net, and the unsupervised also we have isodata and k-means. We can create the decision tree also using this. So different classification techniques are available in NV on the basis of they have different backgrounds of this, where you want to use it. Some background I have been sharing you in the PPT. That is on the basis of Euclidean distance. We can do this. Maximum likelihood classifiers. Let me explain one of two in them. When we are talking about the Euclidean distance, if there is a new classes there, then in which class should it go? In W, F, C, or U, or S? So based on the distance, the minimum distance, we can classify this image, the new data points. And maximum likelihood, this is the peak of a turbid water. And this is a peak of the clear water. So this is a new point. Then in which point should this be lied? In a clear water or in a turbid water? So we will have this class and we can see that it lies in the clear water. On the basis on the probability density, we can see that it lies in the clear water. Then it will be in this new points will be distinguished as clear water. So the different techniques are there, different backgrounds are being applied to it. So minimum distance classification is also there. There are different distance formulas on which the classification is being performed. So I've shown you the different classification method and what are the basics behind that. So we have used the SAM. So in the SAM, what it does, it works on the pixel. It matches the pixel by pixel. The angle which are being made with the pixel, from the pixels, it calculates this. So this matches the smaller angle represent the closer matches. So it's work more accurately than other algorithms. It's being used widely nowadays. So you can see it. This is one pixel. This is another pixel. It taken an angle and matches it. Yeah. In which coordinate should it go? Symbol different related to the studies. I have added it. This is the SVM. You can study it. What actually SVM does? It basically work on the n dimensional. Suppose this is a box and we have a hypercube here. So if you want to distinguish the points, then it works. We divide the plane and a hyperplane and then we distinguish the point. So it did SVM. This advantages and disadvantages I have shown you in the slide itself. We do the post classification also techniques. Let me show you the confusion matrix. You type it here, confusion matrix, and you will be having the confusion matrix. Using ground truth or using the ROI. You can get it from here. So in the short period, I wanted to know, make you aware that these operations are available. Okay, how you can perform it, because in 1.5 hours I cannot make you perfect in everything. So I want to have an overview of everything, that what are available in the remote sensing and how we can perform using this NV. I would like to show you the data sets of ours also. We should not disclose it, but let me, for your clear vision, I can show you. Let me have a spatial map I'm going to show you. This is the spatial map of the Ganga River, which I have worked personally. So this is the spatial map in which we have worked on the total suspended solids, turbidity, total phosphorus, CDOM, and chlorophyll A. So on the basis of the, you can see 0.5 to 1 CDOM is there. We will having the red color. Between this, we will be having a yellow color. So on sitting here, by taking the grounded data, we have the analysis of the different pixels. Now I can tell that in this area, we will be having this much TSS, this much stability, and this much TP. We have already generated an algorithm based on this data set, and it will be implementing, we are going to implement an hardware soon on this. So you can use it as a research area, and it's a very good area. We are working on soil also, we are working on the crop also, nutritions of the soils. We are working on the tea project also. Different projects are going on in CSIO. These are the references from where you can study. Precision farming, you can work it on the precision farming. So this all, thank you everyone. Any queries, you can have it. 5 minutes for queries. Thank you, Shri Devi ji.
Hello.
Any doubts?
Please put for the question. Ma'am, Sridevi ma'am has asked the queries before. Ma'am, you can ask the query now. She was asked, or I will say, ma'am, she was asking that, Urushi ma'am, I am audible for you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Your voice is cracking a little bit. Okay, Sri Devi ji has asked that few years back, Malaysian airline missing and still no data about it.
Yeah.
Ma'am, then we let me enhance with the knowledge of that. That example which I have taken of before was of a weapon. Hope you have remember. In a field area, there is a weapon. How we can identify there is a weapon? But in general, what we do when we hide a weapon, we hide it with the leaves. So when we are covering it from a long distance, 38,000 kilometers of the distance, the satellite is capturing the image. So the reflectance back, the radiance, what will be getting of the leaves, not of the weapons, because it is being fully covered with the leaves. So this might will be a reason that the plane, we did not find there where it was. It will be hidden by any of the causes. That's why our satellite was not able to find that Malaysian airlines there. What is? We were not getting the exact that area of that. That's why, ma'am, one of the reason can be like this only. Any more doubts?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So, you got your answer?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else who want to ask any sort of questions? Hope from this lecture you got the information about the remote sensing, how we are performing different research area using ENVI in the remote sensing, what are the geospatial data, how you can get it from there. Hope I was clear from that part. Okay, so no queries? Okay, thank you everyone.
Participants, if you have any queries, please kindly put it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for calling me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, you have such a brilliant audience. Thank you. Thank you, Mohammed Mahazal Afalji. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the lecture also. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, am I audible? Hello? Anyone can answer me, acknowledge me.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you, Sridhar. Ma'am, the attendance and the feedback link has been posted to you. You can go with it. And the PPTs of Urvashi ma'am and yesterday's class I asked from Indumati ma'am. They told they'll be sending you. As soon as it is coming, I'll be posting in your WhatsApp group. Or I'll send it to the group. The WhatsApp group, I'll post it. Okay, ma'am?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. If you have any other queries, please, I'll post Urvashi ma'am's email ID. You can just go to the chat box and post it. Okay, ma'am? Because some of them will be working in remote sensing also. So you can make use of it. I will just post the mail ID. Okay, the next session will be from 12 o'clock. Okay, ma'am? actually you'll be getting the attendance for the 3 sessions, and the attendance if you are maximum 2 sessions, the attendance will be marked for a day only there in the attend sites. So as soon as I mark it, I'll post it in the WhatsApp group so that you can find that if anyone if I'm missing is, please let me know. Okay, sir. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So in the evening only I will be posting the session attendance you will be getting from this. Yesterday we got it from WhatsApp, but kindly even from the chat box you can get it out. Because in the WhatsApp if you are putting this it becomes a mess for us. So in the chat box means we can get the correct attendance.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. The next session will start shortly at 12 o'clock. Please stick on with the timings because if you are making 10 minutes and all, we are losing some knowledge sharing from the guest. So please stick on with the timings. As 12 o'clock sharply it will be starting here. Because they are joining from Delhi, Bam has joined from this thing, so Chandigarh. So they are joining us, so we should stick on with the timing. Please kindly make it up. Okay, sir? Thank you. Thank you. We'll come back
Thank
at
you.
12 o'clock sharp. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure.
Thank you, Google.